Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with episode number 9 in our incredible new tutorial series where you're going to learn artificial intelligence or you're going to die trying. Now what I'm going to need you to do is pour yourself a nice enormous mug of iced coffee. That would be straight up black coffee poured over ice. No sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. And as you're pouring your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to you guys who are helping me out over at Patreon. It is your encouragement and your support that keeps this great content coming. You guys that are not helping out yet, take a look down in the description. There is a link over to my Patreon account. Think about hopping on over there and hooking a brother up. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and let's talk about what I am going to teach you today. In this lesson, what we're going to try to do is start getting an understanding of a very important concept in artificial intelligence, and that's the concept of region of interest, or ROI. And what that is that with your camera, you're going to be grabbing a frame. You're going to be grabbing a full-size frame. But to process that frame, to do artificial intelligence on that frame, a lot of times it can take a very significant amount of computational resources. So what you want to do a lot of times is not be analyzing the whole frame, but reach out and grab a little portion of it, a little region of it, a region of interest, and then do your work on that region of interest, and therefore allow your program to run a lot quicker. And in order to do that, what you've really got to do is you've got to develop this mindset of seeing that picture as a simple math problem. It is a mathematical matrix. It is a two-dimensional array that has rows and it has columns, and at the intersection of a row and a column you have a data point. If it is a grayscale image, there is one number in that data point. There is one number, a number between 0 and 255, representing how bright that pixel is. And if you have a BGR, blue, green, red, or red, green, blue image, you have a color image, then at that intersection of a row and a column, you have three numbers. You have blue, comma, green, comma, red. Usually it's a tuple, which just means it's a little data packet between parentheses that has like B, comma, G, comma, R. All right, so you have a two-dimensional array or a matrix. At the intersection of rows and columns, you have a data point. That data point might be one number or it might be a tuple with three numbers. All right, now what you got to see is that you can go out and you can grab part of the image, go out and manipulate it or analyze it, and then you can either leave it out to the side or you can even put it back. And so I want to take some time today and have us play around with that, and then I'll give you a homework assignment so that you can show that you can really do this on your own. Sound good? Sounds good to me. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's fire up our most excellent Visual Studio Code. And when you come in here, we will want to click, I guess I didn't switch camera views, so I better switch over here. Okay, I'll get my big old head out of your way. And now we will fire up the most excellent Visual Studio Code. I will also enjoy a little bit of my most exceptional Mount Elgon fresh roasted this morning coffee. That is really good coffee. Okay, so we got Visual Studio up. We're going to come over here and click on our File Explorer. And we are going to want to create a new program. And that new program we create by this little page icon with the plus. We're going to click on that. I got to click in a clear region. Click on that. And this is going to be OpenCV-9, I believe, .py. And the .py is kind of important. And boom, you got yourself a fresh new Python program. just wait to be written. And that's where you come in, but we don't want to just rewrite this thing from scratch. So we want to go grab our old program that basically launches the webcam, grab a frame, show a frame, display it, make a little movie, because there's not much that you would learn by continuing to rewrite that. So if you will come to the most excellent www.toptechboy.com, and then I need you to come over to this happy little search box, and we're going to come down and we are going to search on faster launch of webcam. You could probably, all you would need to do is just search on faster launch of webcam, and you should come to this lesson. You come down here, I've got the code. You click on the little 2-page icon. It highlights the code, right mouse click and copy. And you have snagged that code. Now come over here to your program, right mouse click and paste, and boom, you have that code. Let's run it just to make sure that we didn't goof something up in our copy and paste. So we're going to hit that, and it is going to wait. Boom, look at that. But of course, that is much larger than anybody would like to see me. Also, it runs a little slower to be that big. So I'm going to quit out of that. I'm going to come up and make it about half that big. So on the width, I'm going to make it 640. And on the height, I am going to make it 360. And I should always remind you, because sometimes I see you guys make comments that it's not running or you're getting an import error. Always remember that you have to Control-Shift-P, and then you have to type in Python like that, and then you have to come down to select Python interpreter, and you have to select the Python interpreter that you have installed OpenCV with, because some of you guys are following along with my visual Python lessons, my 3D graphics lessons. Some of you are following along on both of these, and so you've got to make sure that you're in the right environment, or you have to make sure that you are actually running the right the right version of Python where you had actually installed the OpenCV. And I do believe that I installed it on PyAI version 3.6. So I am going to select that, and then I'm going to come down here and clear, and I am going to deactivate. Sometimes it seems like when you run the program, it activates the virtual environment, which you really don't need. So I like to kind of run it clean. Now let's run it and make sure it still works. Okay, and there it is, a much more reasonable size, a much more reasonable picture. Okay, so what is a region of interest? A region of interest is a portion of the original interest of the original image that you are interested in. Now, sometimes that region would be because there's something in it, like maybe you're looking for a red ball, and then when you identify the red ball in the overall big picture, then you go in and you just box the red ball and you begin to work with the red ball. You could search maybe and find something based on color or based on shape or based on looking for a specific person's face, things like that. You're going to end up with regions that you're interested in. That's what we're going to get into in future lessons. So today we're just going to arbitrarily define what our region of interest is, and then understand later in later lessons that bounding box, that region that you're interested in, is going to be based on something a little bit more intelligent. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So we're going to come over here now and start working on this. And so let's just start by, all right, we come here and we grab a frame and then we show a frame. But I don't want to work with that whole frame. I want to create a region of interest. And so what I could do is I could call it like frame, but I'm going to call it frame ROI. So that's a region of interest of that frame. And I'm going to say that my frame ROI, which is like a new array, a new picture, it is going to be equal to the original picture frame, but it's going to be equal to just a part of it. And kind of what I want is a little rectangular box in the center. Now we have to remember that when we're treating the picture as an array, that the first number is rows and the second number is column. So it's row by column. The up and down number comes first. So the height here is 360. So the middle of 360 on the height, the up and down the middle would be 180, but we want to go around the 180. So let's go like 30 below it and 30 above it. So I want to take from rows 150 to rows 210, would it be? Yeah, 150 to 210. So 150 colon 210, that's saying take row 150 to row 210. So that would be 60 rows that are in the middle, 60 rows that are in the middle of the picture. And now I've got to define what columns I'm interested in. Well, again, the center column, that if I have a width of 640, the center column would be 320, and let's say that I wanted to go about 70 on either side of that. So 320 minus 70 would be 250, so I'm going to go from column 250 and I'm going to go 320 plus 70 would be to column 390. So my region of interest is going to be the original picture, but I'm just going to snag from row 150 to row 110, and then I'm going to snag column 250 to column 390. Now I have a new little picture. Well, what can I do with that new little picture? Well, I can show it. So I'm still going to show the original one, but I'm going to do a cv2.im show. And what do I want? I'm going to say this is my ROI. That's going to be the name of the window. And then what am I going to show? Frame ROI. Like that. And then I also probably need to do a move windows so it's doesn't come out underneath my main window. So cv2.move window. What do I want to move? I want to move the window my ROI. I want to move the window my ROI. And then where do I want to move it? Well, this isn't up and down first. This is X and Y. So it's sideways first. And so I want to move it out past that first one. So I think I would make it like 650 over, because the width of the first window is 640. So I'll give it a little bit more space and move it over 650. And then I'm not going to bring it down. It'll still be up at the top. So move it to row 0. So we'll go over to column, we'll go over 650 pixels and come down 0 pixels. And this should show it, I think. Let's take a look. And we are denied. Oh, this was my space ROI. Did you guys see that? Little syntax is important. Now let's try it again. Boom. Look at that. Do you see me up here? Do you see me in the little box? Do you see the little postage stamp version of me? So this is our main image here, and then we have a little region of interest here. Okay, we have the main image, and then we have a little region of interest that is exactly what we wanted to do. Okay, now we could come in and we could start playing with this region of interest. So what I could do is, let's say I wanted to analyze that, and I could analyze it a lot quicker if it was grayscale, because if it's grayscale, there's a lot less data there. There's just 1 data point per pixel instead of 3 data points per pixel. So I could come in and I could do something like, now I could create a frame ROI gray. Okay, and what is that going to be equal to? That is going to be equal to frame ROI, and then no, it is not. It is going to be equal to cv2.cvt color, like that. cv2.cvt color is a command. And then what do I want to convert color of? Well, frame ROI, I want to convert the color of. And then I want to what else do I need to do? I need to do a CV2. What color conversion? I want to do color, like that, color, and then underscore. and then I want to go BGR blue, green, red to gray, like that. I think that should work. Okay, so now I've created a second region of interest, which is a grayscale version of my first region of interest. So let's go ahead and show that one too. So I think the easiest way to show it will be to copy and paste these two. Okay, and then we'll just modify those two. So this time I want to show my gray ROI, and then this then would be, instead of frame ROI, it would be frame ROI gray. That's our new one. And then if I don't, in this one, then I've got to call it gray. So I'm going to move it, but I don't want to move it to 650 because then it would be on top of the other one. So let's go, let's say 650, and then let's come down 90. And so now I should see the whole image. I should see my color ROI, and now I should see my gray ROI. So now let's come and let's hit the play button, and look at that. Boom. Okay. Do you see the little gray version of me? You see, you've got the color version of me. Now you've got the little gray version of me. So you see, I've gotten a region of interest and I've done a little manipulation on it. Okay. Now what you could even do is, after you've manipulated it, you could go back and put it on your original array. And so I could come in here now, and let's say I am going to come back, and now I'm going to say frame. But I don't want to change the whole frame. I just want to change this much of the frame, right? So I'm taking the frame, which is the whole big picture, but I'm only going to modify that center box. Well, I don't have to type those things in again. I can just go get that region that was the center box up here. I can get this, and then I can put it here. So I am only going to change that, and that is going to be equal to what? Frame ROI gray, my little gray box. Okay, now I want someone to tell me what is going to happen when I do this. When I run this, leave a comment. Leave a comment down below, or leave a comment in the chat for the premiere. What is going to happen when I run this? I want you to think through before you see it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to run this, and denied. We are denied. And why did I do this? Because I want you to see, so when you make this mistake, you'll recognize it. Okay, I want you to recognize this mistake when you make it, because it's a very common mistake, and I want you to look at it. It says down here that the problem is in line 14, which is this line, okay, and then it says frame from 150 to 210, and then 250 to 390 equal frame ROI gray. Value error, could not broadcast input array into shape 640-140 into shape 640-143. And so what you typically think is, you think, oh no, it's like it's because I'm putting a small, I'm putting a small picture in the middle of a big picture, and it didn't like that. That is not the problem. The problem is that when you converted your region of interest into grayscale, when you converted your region of interest into grayscale, you went from having one number at the intersection of row and column. You went from having three numbers at the intersection of row and column to having one number. And then your original frame, it's expecting each pixel to have three numbers, and the data you're putting into it, each pixel has one number. And so you see it's saying that the shape of frame ROI gray is 60. It's 60 by 140 by, in effect, one data point each, where it really wants 60 by 140 by 3, where there's 3 there. So you see you've misshapen your matrix when you went from BGR to gray. you misshaped it, and it can't be pushed back into that original data set. So how would you fix it? I want you to just stop, because what I want is I want that center square to be gray on my original image. But when I try to put the gray image in it, it doesn't work. Okay, what would you do? Think about this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and where I have my frame ROI gray, let's see. I have my frame ROI gray. When I look at that, what color is it? It's gray. Well, what I want now is I want to change it back, frame ROI, and then I want to go back to BGR so that the data will match. Well, how would I do that? I would say CV2.CVT color, and then I'm going to go frame ROI B, or frame ROI gray, and then so I'm taking that gray frame region of interest, and I want to do what with it? CV2 dot color, and then what do I want? I want gray to BGR. Now I want you to think. I'm trying to think of what the easiest way to do it is. Let's go ahead and show that. Okay, I'll go ahead and show that third frame, right? And the easiest way to do that is to grab these three things. I mean, these two things, okay? And so I'll put those there, only this time I'm going to CV2.IM show what? My BGR ROI, and then here we will say my BGR ROI. So I take a frame, I take a little region of interest, its color, I convert it to grayscale, and then it's gray, and now I'm converting it back to blue, green, red. What's going to happen? I guess I better move this down to 180 as well. Okay, so now I'm going to have a little ROI that's color, a little ROI that's gray, and now I convert that back to BGR. What is that third little region of interest going to look like? Stop, leave a comment on the chat. Tell me what's going to happen to that new little color square, the little region of interest. What's it going to look like? Okay, what's it going to look like? Okay, well, let's run it and see what happens, and then we'll stop and explain it. Oh, what is that? Oh, yeah. Okay, I just need to comment this out right now because we already explained why that doesn't work. Okay, and we'll come back and fix it in a minute. All right, so now we're going to run this. Okay, boom, look at that. So up here, this top little region of interest is just the copied color image, and then I convert it to gray in the second one, and so it's not surprising when I take a color image, I convert it to gray. It's not surprising to see that it's gray, but now I can take that gray image and I convert it back to BGR, and it's what? It's still gray. Yeah, why? Because you lost your color. When you take BGR and you convert it to gray, you lose all of your color information. And so when you take a gray image and you convert it to BGR, it makes the shape of the array right. Now it puts three numbers at the intersection of row and column. It puts three numbers there, but it just puts that grayscale number three times. And so like if that number there at the intersection was 125, well, now it just, when you convert it to BGR, it just takes that 125 and it makes it in a tuple, 125, 125, 125. Does that make sense? So now this third one is a BGR image. It just lost the colors, but the data size, the data shape, the matrix shape is correct. So what does that mean that I should be able to do? I should be able to go back and put that one back in the frame here because its shape is right. But instead of putting frame ROI gray there, what do I want to put? I want to put frame ROI BGR. Now that should put that gray image back on that color image because the matrix shape matches that you have at the intersection of row and column. You have that pixel, which is a tuple of 3 numbers. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope this works. Oh, I hope this works. Let's run it. Boom! Who's your huckleberry? Look at that. Okay. Do you see this here? Do you see this? I've got a color image, and then in the middle of the color image, I have a little grayscale. Okay, I have a little grayscale, and that is in fact exactly what we wanted, and that is very interesting, and so that works absolutely fine. So let's see here. So I have frame, and that is equal to frame ROI BGR, and then I have frame ROI BGR. Yeah, so what I am able to do now is I made it frame ROI BGR, which was the gray one converted back to color, and then I was able to move it back to the original image. And so I think that is just pretty darn neat. Now you see, if I just come in here and I just comment this out, then I will have it, but you will see that it won't be. Okay, you see here I have it, but now it isn't back on the original image. I have to put it back on the original image. But kind of an interesting thing is when I put it back on the original image, when I put it back on the original image, this one's going to turn gray too. I don't know if you've noticed that, but when I took this and put it back here, then all of a sudden it makes this one gray as well. So you got to kind of think about that a little bit. Okay, so if I come back and I put it back over there, okay, I put it back over there. Now the top one has become gray as well because the region that you're copying from is now gray, if that makes sense. Okay, it's sort of like you put it back on itself and then the gray comes on through. All right, I think this is pretty neat, and you can sort of see now. Oh, let's see. Let's just do something for fun now. Okay, you know what we could do is we could come up and we could even put it in a different place. So let's say this is kind of hard to do right off the top of my head, but let's put it at frame. This is row column, and so this is going to be from the size is 60. So let's go from row 0 to row 60, okay? And this 250 to 390, that is 140, or am I crazy? Is that 140? Okay, I think that is 140. So then let's go from column 0 to column 140, like that. Now, you tell me what's going to happen when we do this. Tell me what's going to happen. All right, so let's watch this. Okay, boom. Now look at this, okay? Do you see? I took this little snip and it came over here color. I changed it to gray and it became visibly gray. Then I converted it back to color. To get the data shape right, to get the matrix to match so it's the same size. And then I came and put it up here. And now when I put it up here, Now this little box stayed red because I didn't put the gray one there, and so it's always grabbing the color. It's always grabbing the color thing. But you see, they're kind of like, we just did a little bit of a picture in picture, or you could also think of it a little bit of a copy and paste. Okay, we could have left it as the color one. All right, yeah, let's just do that. Let's put the color one up there. So instead of using that frame 060, 0140, instead of making it frame ROI BGR, why don't we just make it frame ROI? And that should put the color one up there. Okay, let's try that. Okay, boom. You see I put the color one up there. So you see how you really, if you start thinking of these pictures as just matrices, as a two-dimensional array, man, you can go in and you can start doing all types of really cool and interesting things. Okay, so this is your homework assignment, right? I want you to take the main image, the whole frame, and I want you to convert the whole frame to a grayscale. Okay, so that whole frame is a black and white image. Then I want you to have a little color box like this, a little color box. And I want you to put the color box back over here. So the whole picture is grayscale, but then you have one little box that is color. Now I want that color box to move around the screen. So the color box goes up, and when it hits the top, it bounces. And then when it hits the bottom, it bounces. And so it needs to move. And when it hits a side, it bounces. When it hits the bottom, it bounces. When it hits the other side, it bounces. And so it needs to go, and it needs to bounce off the top and the bottom, and it needs to bounce off the left and the right. And so you've got a little color box that is going to bounce around. But that color box is not just a picture of your face that you're moving around. The whole picture is the picture, and it is gray, but then a little color region moves around, so it's like a little window that colorizes that portion. Okay, and so it would not be copying like this. It would be something more like, let's see. Let's go back to, because I want to make sure you understand the homework, right? Okay, so you see we're not doing a copy and pasting thing. I've just got a little gray picture here, a gray region. I want that grayed out region to bounce around off the walls, but it's backwards. I want the whole picture to be grayscale, and I want a little colorized box to be bouncing around. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If it doesn't, ask a question, because I want to make sure that you understand what I am asking you to do. Now, why am I doing that? Because you got to think of this frame as data, and you've got to think of your region of interest as data, and you've got to manipulate it, and now you've got to move it around and make it bounce around. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Okay, guys, I guess I need to give you a contest to make sure that you've watched the whole program, and I will show you the cabbage that I picked today. And I picked a most enormous cabbage. Look at that cabbage, man. That's coming out of my organic garden, and that's one of my gardeners, Peter. And I'll tell you, I was out there helping him harvest that package. I was thinking we're going to have to start having 2 people to lift these cabbages. This is an enormous cabbage. So the secret word for today is enormous cabbage. That is the secret word for the day, enormous cabbage. I grow these things all organically. We don't use any pesticides. We don't use any herbicides. We don't use any fertilizers. Everything is done with compost, and it is done with a lot of mulch. And so we are having great fun in the garden. And right now, a good portion of what we eat, we grow in our garden and with our chickens and everything. So just like to kind of show you some stuff that I have going outside the old www.toptechboy.com. Okay, I hope you guys are having as much fun taking these lessons as I am making them. I need you to leave a comment down below if you are able to do this homework. Say, I am legend. If you're not able to do the homework, you have to leave the comment, I folded up like a cheap Walmart lawn chair. Also, what I really enjoy that you guys are doing, a bunch of you guys are doing a screen capture and then posting your homework solutions to YouTube. And then in the comments on this video, you can leave a link to your YouTube video that shows your homework solution. And if you do that, I'll give you a thumbs up and give you a little heart. I actually go in and I like to look at the homework solutions that you guys are doing. And so leave a link over there. I think people are asking how you can do a screen capture. I'm probably going to crash my whole system when you do this. But if you hit the Windows key, the little Windows key on your keyboard, and G, like Windows G, like this. Okay. That did not work well. Let me try it again. I am going to fool around and I'm going to kill this whole thing here. Let me try it one more time. Windows Control G will allow you to do a screen capture, and that's what I'm trying to show you how to do here. Okay, so if I come over here, I'm going to try it one more time. The problem is I've got two screens and it's going over to the wrong screen. But let me see, I'm going to do a Windows G. And okay, now you see this popped up, and you can come in and you can actually record your screen with this menu here. And then that screen recording, you can go upload to YouTube. Okay, you can actually go and upload that to YouTube. And now I've gotten rid of that. And then you link to your homework solution in the comments down below. And then in the description on your YouTube video where you post your solution, be sure to link back to the lesson. Be sure to link back to my video so people kind of know what you're doing or where you're coming from. Okay, guys, I've had a lot of fun today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Really enjoy doing these premieres with you guys. I will post the solution to this lesson in a couple of days, and then I always like to hear how you guys did with it. Okay, guys, I'll let you go now. This is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.